Okay, so get this. Everyone's going crazy over this company, NTPC Green Energy, going public.
Right.
But here's the thing. People are saying the real play is to try and get one share of its parent company, NTPC.
Interesting.
Just for a chance at this IPO.
I see.
Like a golden ticket or something.
Right.
So we're diving deep into this whole NTPC Green Energy IPO.
Okay.
What's the deal with this? What are the risks? And is this one share strategy? Is that genius or just hype?
Well, I mean, the excitement is definitely warranted.
Yeah.
This IPO is a big deal, like a major event in the Indian renewable energy sector.
Yeah.
You could think of it kind of like the debut of like a heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
But instead of boxing gloves, they're wielding solar panels and wind turbines.
I like that.
Right.
And you know what's so fascinating about this? NTPC, the parent company, built their empire on coal.
They did?
Back in the 70s. Talk about a plot twist. Right. It's like they're going through this massive transformation. Like, I don't know, like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
Yeah.
But on this gigantic scale.
It's a huge shift. And I think it really reflects India's goal of trying to hit 500 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity.
Wow.
By 2030.
That's incredible.
Which, to put that in perspective, that's enough to power something like 350 million homes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so NTPC Green Energy, even though it's relatively new, is a vital part of that energy revolution.
New, but mighty.
Yeah. I mean, they've only been around since 2022.
Yeah, pretty new.
But they've quickly become, like, India's largest renewable energy public sector enterprise.
The largest?
And they're backed by the government.
That's right.
Which adds like a whole other layer to this whole thing.
Definitely.
They've already got over 3,000 megawatts of operational solar capacity.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Mostly generating revenue. We're talking over 90%.
Over 90%, that's right. So this IPO is about more than just raising capital, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that public sector undertakings, or PSUs, need a certain amount of their shares to be publicly earned.
Right.
It's,
for sure.
It's about regulatory compliance.
Okay.
But it's also a strategic move, By making NTPC Green Energy public, they're really kind of unlocking its value, I think. Yeah. And it's definitely going to attract investors who want in on India's green energy boom.
For sure.
But of course, we can't forget they've got to pay down some debt from all this quick expansion.
It's true.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're building a rocket before they've even like mapped out the stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's like they've got all this clean energy, but now they need to figure out how to deliver it. That's where the discoms come in, right?
Exactly, yeah.
The state-owned electricity distributors.
Right, you can think of them kind of like grid operators, making sure the lights stay on across India.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so the relationship between NTPC Green Energy and these discoms is cemented through power purchase agreements, or PPAs,
right, exactly,
which are these long-term contracts.
Yeah, long-term contracts where the discoms agree to buy power at a set price.
Okay.
Seems like a good deal, right?
Yeah, it seems like a win-win.
Like any good contract, though, there's always a but. You know?
Okay, so what's the but?
So discoms, they're essential, but they're not exactly known for their speed or their efficiency.
I see.
They often struggle with delays, bureaucratic hurdles.
Oh, okay.
And to make things, even more interesting.
Yeah.
A significant amount, like 87%.
Wow.
Of NTPC Green Energy's revenue comes from just 5 of these discoms.
Really?
It's a bit of a gamble, don't you think?
That's a lot of eggs in one basket.
It is. Especially in a field like renewable energy.
Right, because it's changing so rapidly.
Exactly.
But they do have that government backing, right?
They do.
And
they've got some
serious investment power.
Absolutely. So financially, it seems like they're doing pretty well, at least for now.
Right.
But like you were saying, this is a sector that changes really quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
So
past successes don't always guarantee future ones.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's really got investors on the edge of their seats, is what NTPC Green Energy will do next.
What's their long-term vision?
Exactly. That's $1 million question.
Can they keep this momentum going and really be a dominant force?
Become a major player.
Yeah, in this global shift. Towards renewables.
Towards renewables, exactly.
And how does this geographical concentration play into all of this?
Right.
Because we've heard that they're very reliant on a particular state in India.
Yes. That's another piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
We'll be getting into that intriguing case of NTPC Green Energy's strategic focus on Rajasthan in just a bit.
So before we got pulled away, we were about to unravel this whole geographical mystery.
Yeah.
What's the deal with NTPC Green Energy and this laser focus on Rajasthan?
So picture this, right? Rajasthan, you've got these vast deserts,
right?
Scorching sun.
Yeah.
Turns out it's like India's solar powerhouse.
Really?
Yeah, over 60% of NTPC Green Energy's projects are concentrated right there in Rajasthan.
Wow.
Capitalizing on all that abundant sunshine.
Makes sense.
So it's like a perfect match, you know? Made in renewable energy heaven. But
there's always a but, isn't there?
Right.
So what's the catch with having so much sun?
Well, it's not really about having too much sun.
Okay.
It's more about putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right, I see.
You know, what if something happens in Rajasthan?
Yeah, that's true.
Policy changes, payment delays from those discoms we talked about, even something like a natural disaster, you know?
Yeah, that could really hurt them.
Exactly. Having all their projects in one place makes them really vulnerable.
Okay, so diversification is key, even when it comes to sunshine.
But they're not the only ones playing in the solar sandbox, are they?
Oh, absolutely not.
Who else is out there?
You've got some major contenders.
Okay.
Like Adani Green.
Right.
Tata Power Renewable Energy.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
They're all vying for a bigger piece of the renewable energy pie.
So it's getting crowded.
It is. And while NTPC Green Energy has that government support and the money, these other companies, they're known for being really adaptable.
So it's like the big, well-funded ship versus a fleet of speedboats.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Both have their advantages and disadvantages.
Exactly.
So what's NTPC Green Energy's strategy in this, like, solar showdown?
Well, they're banking on their size, the government support, and they have this really specific approach.
How so?
A lot of their competitors, they're kind of all over the place, dabbling in different renewable sources.
Right.
But NTPC Green Energy, they're laser-focused solar and wind energy.
Interesting.
That's it.
They're all in.
They want to dominate those two.
Betting big on a greener future, then.
Exactly. They're putting a lot of faith in those technologies.
But we can't just ignore the financial challenges, right?
Well, of course not.
I mean, we talked about those finance costs, depreciation costs, all that.
It's a lot to manage, even for a company with deep pockets.
That's true. So how do they stay afloat?
That's the balancing act, isn't it? Building a sustainable future costs money, lots of it.
For sure.
And those costs, they don't magically disappear.
Right. It's like buying an electric car. It's good for the planet, saves you money in the long run.
Exactly.
But that upfront cost is a lot to swallow.
It's a great analogy.
So NTPC Green Energy, they're really walking a tightrope here.
They are.
Balancing their ambition to expand with financial responsibility.
That's exactly it.
And let's circle back to that one share strategy everyone keeps talking about.
Yes. The golden ticket strategy.
Is it really that simple? You buy one share of NTPC,
right?
And that gets you preferential treatment for this IPO?
Well, it's a little more nuanced than that.
Okay, how so?
It's not a guaranteed entry, you know. It's all based on speculation.
I see.
You see, this IPO, it's shaping up to be massive.
We're talking big then.
Huge. Potentially the second largest IPO from a public sector company in India.
Wow. Okay.
Right after LIC.
That's saying something.
And that kind of scale, it gets people excited, you know, creates a buzz.
So it could mean huge gains for early investors.
Potentially, if NTPC Green Energy's value takes off after the IPO.
So it's a gamble, but with a potentially big payoff.
That's one way to look at it, yeah.
It all depends on how the market reacts once the IPO goes live.
Exactly. The IPO price will tell us a lot.
It'll reveal how much investors are willing to bet on NTPC Green Energy's vision.
That's exactly it.
It's fascinating to see how this traditional energy giant is reinventing itself.
It is. It's like a case study in the making.
It's like watching this really important game unfold with the future of clean energy hanging in the balance.
And that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? This isn't just about one company's success or failure anymore.
Right.
It's bigger than that.
It's a glimpse into the future of energy.
Exactly. A sign of the times we're living in.
Okay, so as we get ready to wrap up this deep dive, what are your final thoughts?
I want people to really think about this.
What should our listeners, you know, potential investors, even just the average Joe listening,
right.
What should they be thinking about after this deep dive into NTPC Green Energy?
Well, you know, it is a lot to process.
It is.
We're talking about a whole global energy transition here.
It's a big deal.
Really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's both kind of exciting and a little overwhelming at the same time.
For sure, for sure.
And so, I mean, it all circles back to this one share strategy.
Right.
It's like everyone's trying to get a glimpse of what the future holds, you know?
Exactly.
By getting their hands on this one potentially really valuable ticket.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Do you think it's worth the risk?
Well, it all comes down to NTPC Green Energy, right?
Yeah.
Can they really knock it out of the park? Will their valuation skyrocket after the IPO?
So it's a bet on their potential.
It is. Can they handle all the challenges that come with this industry?
Because like you were saying, renewable energy, it's not for the faint of heart.
It's not. It's a roller coaster, that's for sure.
So it's a calculated risk, I guess?
You could say that, yeah.
For anyone who believes in this whole green energy movement.
And who believe in NTPC Green Energy's place in it, right?
Exactly.
It's a fascinating story, isn't it?
It is.
And it goes beyond just this one company or even this IPO.
Yeah, what do you mean?
It's about India's goal of becoming a world leader in renewable energy.
Okay, yeah.
Think about it. If NTPC Green Energy is successful,
yeah,
it could be a really strong message to the rest of the world.
That a green future is possible.
Exactly.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it like that.
It is.
That something as simple as buying a share, right, could actually be part of this much bigger shift that's happening.
That's the thing about the stock market, isn't it?
What's that?
It lets anyone be a part of these huge changes.
That's a good point.
It's a good reminder that we're all shaping the future.
By the choices we make.
Exactly. Our investments, everything.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you really want people to take away from this conversation today?
Don't just take our word for it, you know?
Not bad.
Keep asking questions, do your own research.
Yeah, be informed.
Exactly. And remember that every investment, it's like a vote for the kind of future you want to see.
I like that. Words to live by.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Sounds good.
We hope you've learned a thing or two about NTPC Green Energy.
It's an interesting company.
And maybe we've even sparked your curiosity about the world of renewable energy.
It's an exciting time to be paying attention, that's for sure.
It really is. Until next time, happy investing, everyone.